Okay, we're being recorded. And all right, welcome all of you. I'm Rebecca Rush with my coach, Tim Cusick.
Hey,
And
everybody.
welcome to what is RPI Basecamp and answering all of your questions about 2021 RPI Basecamp. And really, what tonight is about is answering your questions. So, we are going to talk about a few points and share some stories, but really, we want to make sure that you're asking your questions to figure out what is this? Is it right for me? We're going to say yes, but we're going to tell you why. But ask your questions. So down in the Q&A box, it's at the bottom of your screen. We'll answer your questions on the fly as we go. So as you think of things, this is really interactive. So I want to encourage you to be part of the team, and that is what RPI Basecamp is all about. We are a team, and I'm inviting you to come train with me and my coach Tim and my network of experts. So starting out tonight, following the team aspect, that means you've got to be interactive. You got to ask your questions and we'll answer them live. So that is the beauty of this program. It is a unique training program. It's not like anything you've done before. And we're going to explain that in a second. But first, I wanted to talk to you about my why for launching RPI Basecamp, my why for collaborating with Coach Tim, and why we launched this program. And so we launched it really last season. We had the RPI Challenge, which this is the version. RPI Basecamp is this version of that. And it was so amazing. And we launched it because, one, I needed motivation. I needed an event to train for. I needed a community. I missed all those aspects that really allow me to reach a high performance. And I know as an athlete that I need a goal, I need guidance, I need education, and I need people to motivate me. None of us can do it alone. It's why I have a coach like Tim, but also having a coach is not enough. You also need all those other factors I talked about, like a goal, something to train for, a purpose, and people to kind of lift you up when you're not so motivated day to day. And I'll tell you, as a pro athlete, we all need that from any level of training that you're doing. And, it's not so much about the race or the event, it's actually about the process of going through this together. And I know for me, people ask me all the time, why do you continue to race? Why do you continue to sign up for challenges and events and super hard things? And the reason for that, and for most people, is that I'm a better version of myself when I'm training, when I'm moving in nature, when I'm outside and I'm being healthy and I'm getting good sleep. I'm a better version of myself. A race and a hardcore event or a challenge at the end of that, that is the motivation, the external motivation for me to go through the process of being the best version of myself. And you can't do it alone. This is a team. And that's what RPI Basecamp is about. It's essentially me inviting you into my team network because I recognize if I need those things, everybody else needs those things. And I'll tell you, it's a lot more fun to train with a bunch of people and to feel like you're not alone. And it's a lot more fun and it's a lot more effective. And so RPI Basecamp is about training with me and coming into my network. As a professional athlete, I have access to some really amazing people, like my coach Tim, sitting right there. But this is more than a training program. So you do get customized training that Tim's going to talk about in a minute, but you also come into the world of a professional athlete and get access to things like mobility expert, nutrition experts. What kind of tools and equipment am I using? What kind of sealant do I put in my tires? How do you motivate yourself? How do you pace for a 5-hour ride? What saddle won't hurt your butt? Basically, all of the stuff that I've learned as decades as an endurance athlete are things I want to bring and share with you and bring you into the world behind the sort of the curtain of what makes a professional athlete really perform. And it's not that it's not that you need to be professional to benefit from these things. It's that not everybody has access to them all the time. And so that's what RPI Basecamp is about, is actually giving all of you access to a professional network to achieve your best performance, whatever that is. And the process of it is really cool. You are going to learn and be empowered in a way that you never have been before. And I know this maybe sounds like a sales pitch, but it's tried and true and it works. And the whole reason I launched this group and this team is that I really love training with people. You'll motivate me too. And we'll be doing this together. On those hard workout days, we'll all be sharing like, oh, that was a really hard day. Yeah. And lifting each other up. And it works. We did it last year. Tim's been doing base camp, winter base camp for a number of years. And our collaboration is really bringing my team and his team together to create something to help you prepare and plan for your best RPI ever. And I already saw a question come up. Do you have to be coming to Sun Valley, RPI Sun Valley, for this RPI base camp program to be right for you? Absolutely not. And this is part of why basically we have 3 ways to experience RPI. And because of what we learned from last year, we have the year number 9 RPI Sun Valley, which is the in-person event. We have RPI Remote, which we did last year and was amazing success, where you execute an RPI course at home. We teach you how. So you can race RPI in either of those 2 ways, wherever you live or here with us. And RPI Basecamp is the 8-week training network community that will bring you into your best performance for whatever RPI you're doing in whatever fashion, whether you're doing the tater tot or the stage race. This is for you. And so I'm just going to touch on a couple of things that are unique. This program is something that Tim and I've never seen done anywhere else before. It's, like I said, the access that a professional athlete has to this kind of training. And so the things that are really core to it, you get expert guidance from myself and Tim and my network. But it's not just an email. It's not just, oh, do this stuff. It's actually really intimate with a Facebook group, a vibrant social community, members only group. And we're on there every day, answering your questions, talking to you, sharing our experience. And it's super interactive and it's super motivating. And what we saw is when you're in a group, it's accountability. You show up. And so I really love that part of it, but it's also kind of exclusive in some ways. It's not something that everyone has access to. And so on the Science in Stoke, those are some of the live webinars that Tim and I do. We're going to go through looking at people's specific training. He's the science, I'm the Stoke. So real life, looking at people's training programs, how they're doing, looking at their numbers, and then me coming in with personal experience of like, hey, this is how I got over that hurdle that time at Leadville, or that, other experience. And so you're going to get live webinars in that way. You're going to get Rush Hour Lives, which are also webinars where I bring in experts like Dr. Kelly Starrett on mobility, or I bring in a mindfulness expert or a sleep expert, or what I call the spaces in between, all the stuff that's off the bike, where you really can elevate your performance, not just as an athlete, but as a human. And so the Rush Hour Lives are really fun. Those are all interactive as well and personal, where you can ask questions. And then there's a membership site that's got articles, my favorite podcasts, my new favorite piece of gear. So the structure of it is a lot more than a training program, which is why I don't even call it a training program. I call it a performance network, or a full spectrum performance network, because it really is all those things. So I'm going to stop talking now for a minute. You could tell I'm really excited about RPI Basecamp because it helps me, but it also helps you. And that's also really inspiring for me to see you achieve your best rides and your best training and your best performance. Okay, so Mike, thank you. My passion is contagious. You can tell I love it, and I'm ready to start training. So I am going to say training starts July 5th, really soon, July 5th. And if you, at the end of this webinar, we got some fun stuff to talk about. But I think for now, I'm going to pass it to my coach, Tim, to talk a little bit about how the training works. And I've been working with Coach Tim for a little over a year, not even 2 years yet. And, but I will say what's really exciting is I've achieved my best performances ever in my career working with Tim. And so I know that his program works, and what works is not just the science behind it, but the community and the personal touch, and the way Tim really does answer everybody's question and really talk you through your training questions. And so he's pretty special in that way. He's super smart and brainy, but he's also super personable. So welcome, Coach Tim. Thank you. Welcome to RPI Basecamp 2021.
That's a lot of pressure. Thank you. That's so kind. No, and Rebecca did ask me to give a little bit of background. Uh, from a professional sense, yes, I've been a coach. I've been coaching for over 15 years. I've worked with Olympians, world champions. I've won 4 world championships, somewhere north of 30 national championships, of which I think 21 in the USA. The rest are different countries. So I have a depth of experience at doing this. I have a unique approach towards coaching where the base camp design and what we've done here really always has been a personal passion. My actual education is in education. So to me, I really believe in this interactive relationship in coach athlete. And I really am passionate about making our athletes smarter and better prepared to make decisions, more resilient in the training process. And I don't just mean physically resilient, I mean capable of understanding the why, understanding when maybe to go a little harder and when to rest and when to make adjustments. Because the more time as a coach I take to educate athletes, the more likely that athlete's going to achieve their performance goals. To me, I'm highly motivated in that sense. So I've spent a lot of time in my coaching process. I have an excellent background in physiology. I understand the science behind it really well, but I consider myself more of an application person. I worry about the science and put together what I call the expert guidance process so that you don't have to. But yet, once I get you into that process, just like we've gone through with Rebecca and all my athletes, we learn together. Meaning, I'm going to teach you a lot of the what, why are we doing these workouts? What do we expect the result? How should you feel? And you're going to teach me at the same time as you come back with your questions and your feelings and your stuff. We're going to learn in that cycle and merely make an improvement program. Now, put a whole bunch of people in an interactive social community doing that together, and we make a very energized learning scenario. We become better athletes, not just better trainers, right? You can have a program and say, well, I'm going to train better. But the end game of your training is not training better, right? It's not putting out a higher watt or going 1 mile an hour faster. What you really want to do, even though it might be related to the what you really want, but what you really want is performance, right? You want to go out and you want to stand on a podium. You want to achieve your goal. You want to finish the event that you want to finish, whatever that challenge is. We train, we do these things. They're activities that lead us to a success. By bringing community together and learning under that and letting it be a cycle of learning. I'm going to push some stuff down, you're going to push it back up, and I'm going to push it back down, and we'll spend time learning and working together. And as people know that have been through the base camp, that's actually really true. We don't say, wow, I mean, we are going to interact and go through the process together. The process of base camp, though, the training, it's an 8-week program. So it really is your final 8 weeks leading into the big event. It's going to be customized to you. You start off by going through a fitness survey. We have a simple survey. It takes about 4 minutes to complete the survey. And then based off that, we're going to assign you a customized training plan. Now, I want to be clear, it's not fully custom to you. If you're like, I can only train Tuesdays at 9 o'clock at night and Friday mornings at 6 a.m. and Sunday afternoons, your training plan won't exactly match that. But we're going to be teaching you how to make it. It'll be kind of close, but we'll be teaching you how to make the edits. Like one of the things we teach early in the system is if you have to adjust your plan, what's the driving factors? What are the priorities? How do you go down this kind of decision tree of, oh, wow, I just got through a curveball and I couldn't get out of work today. What do I do? We help guide, we teach you the thought process of that. So you
And
You do
I
your
think,
survey.
Tim, I'm going to jump in when you do the fitness survey because it relates to some of the questions. Tim's going to ask you, what event are you training for? What
Yeah.
distance are you signed up for? And how many hours a week do you have to train? And kind of your experience level. And kind of based on some of those factors, that helps you get to the right starting point. And then, like he said, he's going to teach you how to adapt it in the middle because life just kind of sometimes throws you curveballs. But really, it's starting with the event you're signed up for and how many hours you have to train. And
Yeah.
somebody asked a question, Tim, that I think is relevant. They're like, is this program, will this work for, if I'm going to Gravel Worlds in August, will this work for that? And I will say this is an 8-week periodized scientific plan to deliver you to RPI on Labor Day weekend because that's our event. Absolutely, it's applicable to like gaining fitness and all that. But if you've got an event in the middle of the program, you're not designed to peak for, you're designed to kind of be ready for RPI Labor Day weekend. That doesn't mean you can't get on it and do it, but you're going to have to make some personal adaptations if you've got another event in the middle of that, like Tim was saying.
Yeah. When you think about the customization of the plan, right? Think about it as a priority of customization. The overarching one is what event are you doing? Somebody doing the tater tot is not going to be on a plan anyone near like somebody doing the stage race, right? Or so it's different. So first you get this compartment of what's your event. Then we drill into, and I know those events, we know the demands of those events. So the plans will each recognize the demand of those events. Then we're going to find out about you. How many years have you been training, which is typically known as your training maturity? How seriously have you been training? How many hours a week are you training? What's your current fitness level? And what does your typical weekly schedule look like right now? And your plan will meet those customized guidelines to a point. And I just want to make sure everybody's really clear. Like I said, if you can only do Tuesdays and Sundays, you're not going to get a plan with Tuesdays and Sundays. There's a 4-day plan, and we actually teach you how to remove workouts if you need, but it'll be pretty close. Customized to your event, customized to your training history, customized to your needs. Then we teach you the final tweaking and fine tuning you might need to individualize it.
I like too that it's also, even if somebody's doing, maybe they're doing the French fry route and I'm doing the baked potato, we're still doing the same training progression together.
Right.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're still doing, our interval workouts. And so we still are, even if you're in a different event than I'm in, we're still doing a very similar progression. And so we're sharing kind of the same load, even though your mileage may be a little different, we're still in the same structure, which I really liked in last year's program, is that people are like, oh, today was really hard. And, you get feedback kind of from a very similar workout from the rest of the group.
Yep. And it does follow that progression. We'll have similar, I mean, the plans are different. You might be doing different intervals, but your interval 10 days and stuff like that tend to follow the same system. All of the plans are hosted in Training Peaks. You get a free basic account with this. It's totally free. You don't need anything more than basic, and you can just run it free, and it's great. All structured workouts, they can load directly to your Garmin. Just connect Garmin to Training Peaks, and they'll just show up in your Garmin every day. So really simple to execute, and we teach you how to do all that. There's help sections, and we're on the Facebook group answering questions. It's in our emails and digests. So all that's really, we're there to support it. I do multiple weekly reviews through the Facebook group. And sometimes I do like short little videos. Sometimes I do write-ups and markups. I do a little bit of both. But when I do the reviews, I'll take an example athlete and I'll be like, look, here's good. Here's something they did that was bad. Excuse me. And I don't usually say bad, but I'm pretty honest, so you might hear it. So the reality is I do it in a way though that teaches you what to start looking for in your workout. So you can read the reviews and go back and look at yours and be like, hey, I see this and I understand now the impact it will have on me. And I should have done it this way, or wow, I really did it right. So, and we're doing those reviews in a steady stream through the Facebook group. I'm going to talk about how we share beyond that in a moment, but that's where, if you're active in the Facebook group, you're getting feedback multiple times. I saw Chris said, Tim is always in there talking about the Facebook group. I am, because that's the way I can talk to the community. And coaching is a full-time job in my world. So it's where I'm at, answering questions, doing reviews, helping you guys get through it. Then, as Rebecca said, we also have Science and Stoke sessions. We have 3 of them throughout the 8 weeks. I'm science, right? And I think this is really cool. And I think people who listen to this, and this is where I love working with Rebecca because she's so great at this. Like I'll talk about like the science, like here's what we were doing, here's this block and here's whatever. And Rebecca will talk about like, yeah, here was my motivation. I was totally on it. And oh, that one kind of sucked and that was hard. Or, so you get that honest impact. And what I really love seeing in the community and doing it with Rebecca is, we all think the pros go and do it and it's super easy for them, right? They're just like super fit all the time and everything goes well. And Rebecca is so open, honest. And so I do the science and talk about the why, and she's going to tell you too what she's succeeding at and what's motivating her and what is. And she's also going to talk sometimes about the challenges and the failures as the athlete. And I'll be able to respond.
And the tools, like, what do you do when you're in a slump?
Right.
What do you do when the motivation is lacking? We talk about all this stuff, but then we really try to empower you and give you the tools, whether it's how to adapt your training program or how to, how to address an injury or how to, address lagging motivation. We really do try to, empower you with the tools to make the change that you need to make.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool, right? Like for me, I'll give you some deeper view. And having coached for so long, coaching becomes something because of the internet and because of a low barrier threshold, right? There's too much BS out there. People write articles and they're not right. You guys be careful what you read. We see this in the diet world at times, and I'll say you see it in the training world. It just seems like if somebody goes on the internet and says something strongly enough, people want to follow that and believe it. But I see a lot of bad info out there. So what we really want to do with the core program is give that expert process. Be there to support and answer your questions. Like you can push and say, hey, I just read this article and it said I should be doing this, and you'll get some honest opinions, not only from me and Rebecca, but from the whole community, which is an amazingly powerful tool. Because how many times as an athlete have you stumbled into something like, wow, that really workout was hard, or I read this article about if I just eat Swedish fish, I'll be 10% faster, right? And you're just like, I wonder what other people are doing. Are they eating Swedish fish? So you have a community you can share that both with some experts in it and with people just going through the same experience.
That's a super good point, is that the content that we put in there is curated. It's from trial and error. It's pulled from, years and decades of experience. And so we do pull in the stuff that we know works. And then also, like Tim said, people are personally sharing their experience as well. But the experts that we bring are tried and true and trusted. And there's not going to be anything in there that isn't backed by science or experience or proof of concept.
Agreed. And that's really it, right? You get the opinion of the experts and you get the crowdsourced opinion. And that's where we really learn because, it's really hard. Nobody's right all the time and stuff like that. So it really gives you an excellent, to me, it's the community is the special part. I mean, I can write you a great training plan. I really can. And I'm confident that the process and the system will work. But our ability to go through it together, to motivate each other when we need it, to help each other achieve, to celebrate when we win, and to be there to kind of pick up each other when we're not, that makes training so much better. People are like, why is Basecamp so successful? And it's like that. It's not my plan or Rebecca's participation. It's the community working, sharing, motivating that matters. It really is cool.
It's the full spectrum. And that's why I like to say it's a full spectrum performance program. Yes, it's a training program. Yes, I help motivate you. Yes, there's a bunch of great articles and podcasts and education in there. And then you mix all that special sauce together with a whole bunch of like-minded people. And that's really the magic. It's no one thing that makes it good, but it's that sort of salad that you mix together, that all the parts that make it really, really awesome and tasty. Should
So
we do
Rebecca,
some questions,
yeah,
Tim?
I was just going to say the same thing. Let's just tackle some questions because we have some
Yeah.
other bullets about the what, but I really love to get
Yeah.
these questions. So how about I facilitate them out and I'll throw some
All right.
into you.
Do it. Let's start at the top.
I'm going to start in the question box. So
Okay.
Gary asks, when will the training plan populate into Training Peaks? it's July 2nd to July 5th, they'll populate. So they'll populate over the weekend just when it starts.
Hey, Tim, when does training start?
Training starts July 5th, right?
Okay, just checking.
Okay.
So we will populate on the 5th, but I'll actually jump to another question I saw about that, which I think is a really good question, you guys, and everybody should think about that. What type of base training should you have by July 5th? You should be riding your bike. You should be riding your bike consistently. So when you talk about base training, right, one of the secrets, people get very lost in what it takes to make basic fitness and just stay fit. Consistency is king, right? So if you're riding consistently 3 to 6 days a week, it depends what event. If you're tater tot, I would say 3 to 4 days a week is fine. If you're stage race, you might want to say 4 to 6 days a week is fine. And consistently getting out there, riding some trail, riding some gravel, riding some road bike, whatever it is you're doing, you're probably fit enough to step right in here. If you're like, I haven't been on my bike in 6 months and I'm going to jump right into this program because it is an 8-week program bringing you to peak for the event, it might be a little much. And if that's true, I would jump on the bandwagon now and start riding your bike 4 to 6 times a week, and whatever time you have, let's say an hour to 3 hours a day, and just get on the bike and get ready. If you stay on the couch till July 5th, the plan will probably be a little bit too hard for you. That also, I'll do one more question. What if I'm in the middle of another training plan and I'm in a build phase? How will that translate? You'll be fine because you can extend build phase. It's really pushing a peak. I know in periodized training, we like to break things down into these neat little boxes. Well, first of all, in periodized training, there is no study in the world that shows periodized training really works. I know that's like one of those myths right there. It is a good system for organizing things, and it tends to work because it puts things in neat little steps that the athlete can work through and understand. So when you say build phase, it probably means you're doing some mid-range intensity work as you better move towards peak. That will actually time in very nicely for the event. There's nothing wrong with doing another cycle of build, and extending that out a little bit, as long as you're not doing too much work. I can't speak for the plan you're on, but our plan will be a nice balance of work.
Awesome.
All right, Rebecca, let's get you answering one.
Which one you want to take? Which one should I take?
All right, how about this one? I saw that you use Training Peaks and Facebook. Are those two primary ways that people interact with each other?
There are two ways, but what we try to do is make it accessible and meet you where you are. And so there is the membership-based website that is going to be populated each week with new articles, with links to all the webinars, so you can consume connect with in multiple different ways on the website, on the Facebook group, in your Training Peaks. There are also notes and messages as well. And you will get a weekly digest of what's coming up that'll come right to your email inbox. So you get all those ways to kind of remind you of what's going on, because we know we're busy and some people aren't in Facebook or, whatever. And so we really try to not to spam you, but you've got 4 ways to access the information. And we remind you, you can sign up for all the live events, Science and Stokes and Rush Hour live webinars. As soon as the program starts, you can just register now, and you get a little reminder for it. And we really try to set it up like that because we know people are busy and they're trying to fit this into their lives. And I'm doing the same thing. And so I can sign up for all this stuff. I get reminders. And then the Facebook group is kind of ongoing, where you can chime in and look and consume that at will. And Tim does sort it out in there, which if you go into the Facebook, there are segments of like like training comments or, new articles and, nutrition. And he'll kind of break them down so that if you haven't been on there in a day or so and you kind of want to go looking for something that's relevant to you, it's broken down that way too. And I would say that really is the beauty of this program, is that Tim's been doing a digital online winter base camp program for a long time. And so that's why I partnered with him, is he has this digital formula mastered. And of course, we're riding outside and all that, but it's a pretty tried and true system of, this is not anything new. RPI Basecamp is newish, the collaboration, but the digital aspect and the way the information is delivered to you is really well thought out. And each time it gets a little better based on your input and the user experience. And we make it a little easier every time to find information or have a different kind of information. And I will tell you, from Winter Base Camp, doing the survey of, it's basically like everybody gave 5 stars, because it really does work. It's a tried and true program that curates the information you need all in one spot, but with 4 different delivery systems. So you can find it in the best way that works for you.
Yeah, great point. And one other thing to add, to avoid FOMO for people who aren't on Facebook, we do put key posts, the actual post, we rewrite them in the blog on the membership site and communicate them in the digest. So
Right.
you don't get left out of everything. We always make sure, we understand people want multiple channels or different channels of communication. We make that available. So we do make sure that that's translated. So like when I do reviews and stuff like that, they'll also get posted on the blog in the membership site. Now it's members only. You have to be signed up to get in the membership site, but the data will be in there in the blog. You could just go in and read it. And then when you get your digest each week, that digest has the previous week's key posts. So it even tells you what the highlight was and gives you the direct link back to them. So we really try to make it easy for you to keep up.
Awesome.
All right. A lot of kind of technical questions. So I'll tackle a couple in a row, maybe, Rebecca, here.
Yeah, go for it.
How easy, hard is it to change programs? 25 miles versus 3 to 4 days events. Gary, it's easy enough. You just ask and we can flip you to a different program when you need it. So that's easy enough to do. Brian asks, I'm a flatlander from Maine. How much of a factor is elevation? Should I come days early to acclimate? So you guys, I'm going to answer this question this way. That's exactly what our community does. Like if you ask that question in our community, I'll give you a professional answer. And then a bunch of other people going to the same event are going to say, but here's what I do. And here's been my approach. And this has worked for me in the past. And that doesn't mean we're all right or we're all wrong, but you get an expert's opinion and then you get others' opinions.
Well,
So
and this exact question is something I answer every year in base camp, because I've won Leadville 4 times, which starts at 10,000 feet. I live at 6,000 feet, and I've tried different strategies there. So that's where I would come in with my tried and true experience, good, the bad, the ugly. But Brian, that's exactly the kind of question that RPI Base Camp is about, that we will share. So we're not going to answer that for you here, because you're going to sign up for RPI Base Camp and ask the same question. How's that sound?
I think that's the right answer. And then we'll share it as a community. We'll all get together for the answer. But it's a very important question. So sign up and keep asking it. All right, Jill asks, I'm training for RPI baked potato. And then I start the Smoke and Fire 400 miles of bike packing 2 days later. Am I nuts? First off, Jill, all gravel cycle mountain bikers, we're all nuts. Just deal with it. We're all crazy. I'm thinking the Queen's plan might be good for me since I have these big events so close. Can I register for the Queen's plan if I'm not actually racing it? Yeah, you could. You can choose. You can say that's your event that you want to train for. Do the baked, register for the Queen so that the training is a little harder. And that's a smart way to approach it. You're not crazy. You should be fine. Actually, you're going to compact that little peak phase. It actually should play out better. Taking training like a stage racer is a great solution. So your thinking and thought is right. And that's exactly what I would do. You can, even if you're racing the baked potato, you can get the Queen stage plan if you want to do a little bit more of that type of training. Some people like block training, and that's what the stage plan has in it. And if you get your plan and you want to, have a switch it to the queen or switch it back to the baked, we'd be glad to do that.
Well, and Jill, I actually did that. I think it was year 2 or 3 of RPI as the event director, put on the event, and then 2 days later did the Smoke and Fire, went and smashed the women's record. And I was dead tired, but like, because I'm putting on the event and riding the 100 miles, and I'm like, screw it to my event team. I'm out. I'm doing Smoke and Fire. And it was really, I knew I was doing it, so I was prepared ahead of time, but it was also a really nice way for me to, spend time with 1,500 people with a really intense event, but then also to go on a long solo beautiful ride in Idaho. So yeah, if you're going to be here, and I mean, like I said at the beginning, it's not particularly about this one event that you're training for. It's about being fit for life and being able to say, yeah, I can do this event, and then 2 days later I can do that event. Like, that's awesome. And this would be the perfect prep for that.
All right, next question. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you the same Facebook answer. I've ridden RPI 50 several times over the years, and my primary struggle is I live in Kansas. No long, steady climbs available. Also, the altitude factor to address. This has been a problem every time I've ridden this race, and I really want to make improvements this time. It's exactly why you come into the community. I have some good answers for you. There's no perfect answer, though. Again, it's a challenge, right? When you think about training, particularly the more you get closer to event specificity, the training the specific demand of the event gets more and more important. And it's hard to replicate that. I've seen a lot of people do the headwind experience and this and that, and that works, but only if you understand the real neuromuscular manipulation you're looking for to make that relevant. A lot of people go out and spend a lot of time riding into headwinds and then they still can't climb. Well, the reality is that's because you have to ride into headwinds in a very specific way. Those are great questions to be asked and answered as we go. So only Garmin, or can we use Wahoo bike computers? Yeah, Training Peaks links directly to Garmin or Wahoo. Once you link your accounts, they'll just show up on your head unit automatically. So nice and easy.
And we teach you how. Like, I'm not a super good tech person. So Tim does these really great webinars on like how to connect my Garmin to Training Peaks. And it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. So there is a lot of education in there on the tech side as well of how to connect all your devices, which is really important because it's so awesome when you get out on your bike and it's like, oh, here's the workout for the day. And it shows right up. It's actually really cool. So Tim teaches you how to do that too.
Yeah, and we have help videos and stuff like that. I'll explain it if you have questions too, but we also have the resources. This goes back to Rebecca's point. It's not just a training program. You have all these resources. You have experts and guidance and resources, how to do all this stuff, how to make all that magic happen, because technology should empower us. It shouldn't be a barrier. So I'm going to jump to one question here because I think this is a good one. I'm going to ask you to give the first answer here. Will this program work for a somewhat out of shape older road bike rider who's new to gravel?
Yes, this is for you. It's for everyone. And this is what's kind of beautiful because it's customized. It works for me as a pro. It works for somebody who is, and you said this yourself, Ed, not me, but somewhat out of shape, older road bike rider. Gravel's amazing. Riding bikes is amazing. And so if you have bike experience, it absolutely translates. And especially if you've been riding for a long time. And I'll also say that, older and out of shape, I'm 52 years old. And like I said at the beginning of this webinar, I've had my best performances of my life with Coach Tim. And so we always have the opportunity to be a better version of ourselves. And that's exactly what this is about. And some of the things you're also going to get if you're coming from the road to gravel, you're going to get things from me and the team on like, what tire choice, how do I ride downhill better, like, how do I make my butt not hurt when I'm riding on gravel? So you're going to get a lot of tips from the community as someone transitioning from road to gravel, because we have a ton of people who come from road, come from mountain biking, or they're brand new. And so that's exactly the kind of community resource you're going to get. But absolutely, this is perfect for you. And you're going to get a lot of the guidance that you might not get, searching the internet or trying to find an article on like how to ride gravel. Like I said, this is curated exactly for what you need in there.
And I think it's so cool. One of the things I love every year about base camp, and I see there's a certain amount of people there, on this webinar that have actually gone through base camps, the heavily you have a mix of it all. And because it's a community and we're all working together, we share that knowledge. You have people that have been racing for 20 years and have amazing knowledge, and you have people that are just figuring out how to ride their bike. And we share and we learn and we grow together. And that's why it's a community. And it's super cool to get that support. This is the place for somebody newer like you. You don't have to be great. Like one of the questions further down is,
Yeah.
how good do you have to be and what is the recommended minimum time you should devote? If you're doing 4 to 6 hours at the minimum, right, you're going to be okay doing a lighter event like the Tater
4 to 6
Tot.
hours a week.
I'm sorry, 4 to
Yeah.
6 hours a week. Did I say a day?
Yeah.
That's my current
No,
life
you
right
just
now.
didn't
Yeah.
specify. So yeah. Yeah.
4 to 6 hours a week. Sorry. So if you're doing that, you're fine. And that tater tot or the French fry, which would, that event would work for you. And that's great. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be experienced. This isn't pro. We're all going to mix together as a community and have room for everybody. And Rebecca and I are very committed to room for everybody. All right, Aaron asks, if my event is August 21, would I have some guidance about when to taper early? Yes, you can ask that in the group and we'd be glad to give you guidance. So that's the whole community idea. Again, we'll be there to, when you have those questions, I'll give you coaching advice. Rebecca will give you performance advice, and you'll get the whole community giving you their thoughts.
But I'm going to say to her, I'm going to try to talk her into doing RPI as well, RPI remote or coming to Sun Valley. Why not do kind of like the woman before who asked about doing RPI and Smoke and Fire? You know, if you're going to train and peak for something that are close together, why not do them both?
I agree. Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
All right, here's one. How will the training plans be communicated? Will it be shared by email or Google Sheets? You know what, I'm going to share my screen a second here, just because there's a couple of these questions. So your training plan is written in Training Peaks. So this is trainingpeaks.com. You get a free basic account with your training plan. You do not need to upgrade it. You can leave it free. Everything you're seeing on the screen will be available for you. It has all the workouts. The workouts are in structured format, so your Garmin or your Wahoo will read them automatically. And if you don't know how to connect them, we're going to be there. Training Peaks, when you get your free basic account, takes your email, and every day it sends you today's workout and tomorrow's workout so you can plan ahead by email. There's also a Training Peaks app, which if you have, all this is free. You don't have to pay for any of this, right? Your free Training Peaks app, you could look it up on your phone and get the workout. And finally, if your Training Peaks account is attached to your Garmin and your Wahoo, when you turn them on, it'll tell you today's workout. So Training Peaks is by far the largest endurance training plan system out there. It's all wired in, super easy. So you could log in and read it every day. You could read your email. You could look at the app. You can turn on your device. All kinds of ways that we communicate training to you. So no emails, no Google Sheets. You get a fully vibrant training plan in the system.
And for people who haven't used a training plan or program like this before, it's amazing to just have this guidance. It's a calendar, it shows up. I really like, the beginning of the week, I look at the week ahead, I plan my work schedule around it. I know, Wednesday's a longer day or this or that. And it really is, I love the accountability, and I kind of like being told what to do because I know it works. So you're not, getting out after work at 5 being like, oh, I should ride my bike. What should I do? So if you've never had a structured training program like this, I cannot speak highly enough for it. One, it takes the guesswork out of it. It's going to work. And it's also just nice to sort of be told what to do, and just follow a program and just trust that it will work.
Couldn't agree more. All right, so Sonia asks, hi, thanks for doing this. How many hours should I be prepared to train per week if I'm training for the stage race? 8 to 12 is the minimum plan that we have, 8 to 12 hours a week of training. A stage race is a pretty big challenge, so you do need to bring a certain amount of fitness to the game. to me, the perfect training range is between 12 and for the everyday athlete with a job and life is 12 to 14 hours a week is perfect. Um, if you're really, you're really going for it and you have more hours, you could always train more. And we have high volume plans available as part of the system based on your fitness survey. Um, I'm a
I will
triathlete.
say to people who are looking at the stage race, RPI stage race in Idaho is full. There's a little bit of space left in RPI Sun Valley and some of the other distances. RPI remote is unlimited. So if you're signing up for those events, you can sign up at RebeccasPrivateIdaho.com.
Okay, here's one for you. I'm jumping around a little, Rebecca.
Okay.
If I sign up for the remote RPI with Basecamp, how much heads up will I get if a spot opens up? I think what they mean, they're on the wait list, right? Yeah. When would they know if they actually can go to the live?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, we do have a wait list, and hopefully if you're on it, that's great. Honestly, it's hard for me to know because we don't know who we do oversell a little bit because it's kind of like the airlines and that there's attrition and some people just don't show up. They don't often tell us that they're not coming. And so I can't really answer that question. I would love to say, we'll give you a notice a week out. But you can always check in with us. We've got an email on our website and see what number you are on the list, kind of like at the airlines, you see where your upgrade status is looking. So you can check in with us there at rpi@RebeccaRush.com. The email's on the website there.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we're just going to keep rolling through questions because there's still a fair amount of them.
Yeah, this is great. Keep them coming.
And I'm kind of jumping around some. We'll get to them all. I'm a triathlete training for long distance events in the fall, culminating with an Ironman in late November. Does your program have room for me to continue doing swims and runs without overtraining? Yeah, and I get a fair amount of those questions every program. What I would recommend you do is adjust so when you do your fitness survey, we actually need to tweak this in one of the questions. Make sure you leave your running hours and your swim hours out. Meaning, let's say you're riding 12 and your run swim is 4 or something like, and that's a lot, but whatever you're doing, just talk about your riding. And then if you ask in the group, like how to blend in some of your other stuff, I can give you some thoughts and advice. Triathlon is not my specialty, but I've coached a couple successful ones, so I can give you some good thoughts.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another question that comes up a lot in the Basecamp group is like, where do I fit in weight training so that it doesn't hurt my, ride training? Where do I fit in strength training? And that's all the kind of stuff that we fit in based on science, experience, anecdotal, stuff. But people will chime in on, hey, this is where I fit in my strength. But the running and other training, swim training is also you can add it in and you'll ask the group and talk about it.
Yeah. All right, Rebecca, here's one for you. Silly question. I'm pretty sure I'm signed up for Basecamp. How can I check?
You're pretty sure you're signed up for RPI Basecamp. Send us an email at rpi@RebeccaRush.com and just ask and we'll check. And we haven't really sent out we should probably send out some communications here pretty soon. And we will start getting the communications going because we're 3 weeks out from the start date. What date does it start on, Tim?
July 5th.
July 5th. So yeah, you will start getting communication from us of like, great, you're signed up, but you can just send us an email and ask if you're not sure. And I will say you can also gift to a friend. Somebody is asking, is there a rate for 2 people? There isn't a 2-person rate. It's an individual rate, and because it's a customized individual program, and you can gift it to somebody else. So maybe that's an anniversary gift for the couple that wants to sign up together. But yeah, it is individual, and we really did try to make it for what you got. We made it really cost effective. You can compare kind of other training programs. And like I said, this is a lot more than just a training program. It's a training community. And we really did try to make it accessible for everybody. So I feel like it's really reasonably priced for what you get.
Yeah, the value is high, and that is the right answer. All right, I'll tackle this next one. What models of Garmin are compatible? If your Garmin was made in the last 5 or 6 years, it will be compatible. If it's older than that, it will still work just fine. I just don't know if it will be able to read the structured workouts. So if you've Garmin's, less than 5 or 6 years old, you're fine. It works with all of them. Okay. Can people who here, Rebecca, for you, can people who aren't registered for RPI do base camp?
This is Jill. She's doing an event in August. She already asked, she kind of asked this, and I'm going to give you the same answer. Yes, you can do base camp on its own, but I really feel like the beauty of the program is that it's a training program with a challenge that specifically they're meant to go together. We're not going to not let you sign up, but it really is designed to work together with a challenge and a motivating challenge at the end. And I guarantee if you sign up for RPI Basecamp, you're going to get into the community, you're going to make friends, you're going to want to do RPI Challenge remotely or however you're going to do it, because all your friends in Basecamp are going to be doing it. And so, yes, you can sign up, but I'm also going to encourage you to consider signing up for RPI Remote as well, so that you don't feel left out on the weekend when all of your teammates are sharing their stories and all excited, and to see that the program really does work and delivers you to that challenge. And there's nothing better than high-fiving at the end of a weekend, digitally or in person, with a team that you've been with for 8 weeks, coming along this program, working hard, getting better, struggling, surviving, and then celebrating at the end of that. It really is pretty fantastic. And we have people at the end of base camp that are all bummed because they're like, it's over, I don't want to leave. So which is why Tim and I are designing these programs, that it really is, there are year-round RPI base camp RPI, then we roll right into, you get a little break, then you roll into winter base camp, then you get a little break, and then you come back around into Giddy Up Challenge in the spring. And so we do really try to provide this community throughout the year, because people get really attached to each other, which is cool. So yeah, you can sign up without being registered for the events, but I'm going to keep pushing you, Jill, to make sure see if we can get you into RPI Remote.
All right, next question. I'll take this one. Can you sync the program if we have an existing Training Peaks account? Absolutely. When you download we send out the link to your training plan, it will recognize that account and load it right into your account. So if you already have a Training Peaks account, you don't need to run it on a separate free basic one. It'll just work, and it will recognize your account. It'll actually ask you in the link if you're not logged in. If you're actually logged into your Training Peaks account, it'll automatically know. So you can use your existing one. All right, let's see. So Mike, I bet you can tell what Rebecca's going to say, but I'm registered for a race in Montana on August 22nd. Is training good for gravel racing riding for Montana as well? So Rebecca, I'll let you tackle that one.
Gravel's gravel. Yeah. I mean, this program is going to be applicable. And what you learn is you're going to take this. This is, it is RPI Basecamp working towards RPI Challenge, but the skills and the education that you got in there and the training that you got is absolutely applicable to you as an athlete, whether it's in Montana or Singapore or wherever. So I guarantee you're going to learn a ton of stuff. You're going to become educated, empowered. You're going to be a better athlete at the end of this program than you were at the beginning of it. I know it works. It's why I keep doing it, so that Tim keeps me training and keeps me honest. And yeah,
I got to find 5,000 friends.
Right. Montana's beautiful, but I also would encourage you, like I said, it's curated to deliver you on RPI weekend for the challenge that you've chosen. And so there is a periodization to it. There is a science to it that takes you there, but absolutely don't leave out other events that you want to do. They're in your hometown, and it's all about having fun and riding bikes. And so while this is a training program, there's also, you need to have fun and sign up for other events and do other fun things. But I'm still going to try to get you to sign up for RPI.
Awesome answer. All right, I'll tackle this one. Will you be going over on the bike nutrition for events to avoid stomach problems? Yes. In Science and Stoke, we're going to talk nutrition. We'll have a nutritionist in the group that'll help us with some posts and stuff like that. but we will give good, and that's exactly what Rebecca's talking about. The whole team will be there. We're going to round you out. We're going to give you all that great information for, the best performance you can have.
And I'll kind of re-emphasize the live webinars we do are kind of like this, in that you can ask your specific question of like, I've tried this product and it doesn't work. Should I try this? So it's not just that we're going to send you a bunch of nutrition articles on how you're supposed to do it. You're actually going to be able to be interactive, ask your specific questions. Yes, you're going to get nutrition articles, experts, my advice, Tim's advice, but you'll also be able to ask your own personal questions. That I think is really the power of this, because no two athletes are the same, and not one thing might work for me, it might not work for Tim or for you. So it is interactive. I can't stress that enough.
Great answer. All right, so Laura asks, and I'm going to answer this one. Will there be prizes at Rebecca's Private Idaho? So Laura, here's my answer. I miss you. You're so funny. Laura is the only person I've actually seen in a power file with a heart rate monitor on. When we talk about prizes, her heart rate goes up. Yes, there's prizes. Laura knows there's prizes, but that's a great question, Laura.
There's lots of prizes in remote. And I will say this, the remote has a leaderboard and prizes. RPI Sun Valley has leaderboard and prizes. We have fundraising prizes. We have random prizes. We even have a prize at the end of this webinar. So I'm glad you asked that, Laura. Thank you.
That's hilarious. Prizes. I do weight training 2 times a week, an hour each. How does this fit into my cycling training program? It fits just fine, and it will ask you in the fitness survey. Just remember, let's say you're on your bike 8 to 10 hours a week and then training too. Make sure you say, when it asks you how many hours you're working out, you say you're on the bike hours, and then we'll be able to give good recommendations for your strength training within that. Chris asked, do I need a power meter for this training? No, we do recommend it, because when you talk about remote, you really want to execute training plans well. Power is really the best option for doing that. That being said, we teach you how to convert the heart rate. The heart rate conversions are right in the every workout. So you can quickly set your own heart rate conversions and train by heart rate, if that's the direction you're going.
And I'll tell you, Chris, I've won 3 world championships without a power meter. Have been an athlete for a long time and trained in heart rate training. It works. I love power because it never lies and it doesn't cheat. Not that the heart rate does, but it's less variable than measuring your heart rate. But absolutely, you can do this training program on a heart rate monitor and have great success with it.
All right, Becca, this one's for you. If you're doing the event virtually, do you need to do the event exactly on the same days?
Yes. So RPI remote, and I'm going to tell you, I don't use the word virtual. Virtual is a dirty word for me, and here's why. Because it's real. If you're doing RPI remote, you're executing a real event at home, and it's a real ride. To me, virtual is more like looking at an avatar on a screen, and doing something, more along the lines of Zwift. And Zwift is great, but to me, RPI remote is not a virtual event, and that's why I don't call it that. But yeah, we do, just like any event, you're riding on the same days as everybody else. And there's real power in that, because on social media, you're seeing like, you're getting nervous before the start and you've got a start time and, oh, it's raining today. Do I still have to do it? And yeah, there's accountability in showing up on a certain day, and executing. And also for our record keeping and our leaderboard, we do have to have people compete on the same day so that we can capture all the right data. But it's powerful to be like, it's Saturday morning, I'm racing the race. You can choose your start time, but the day does have to happen. And that's kind of fun, because that people out here in Idaho and people around the world, they're all starting that morning. So they're all getting up, having that race breakfast. They're a little nervous. And then when you finish, you're also celebrating just as you would at a finish line. And so I really try to make it feel that sense of community. Sharing digitally is really important, and it's one of the major motivating factors. And so that's why we have it on the same day as the in-person event, not to be super structured and tell you what you have to do, but because it really does create this really global sense of community that is super motivating for you. So yeah, you do have to execute on the same day to be officially on the leaderboard. That said, if you go through the program and something happens and you do it the next day, absolutely. But for the official leaderboard results, you do have to execute on the same day as we're all doing.
Great answer. All right, I'll tackle this one. Do you need a heart rate monitor or can you use an iWatch data? The same thing. That's fine. iWatch is an optical sensor, maybe not quite as accurate as a heart rate monitor, but close enough to do the work. So that's fine. Um, okay. Okay, there's a couple of questions like, are there deals on lodging for RPI? Go to the RPI website. Rebecca put the link in chat. That'll take you to the Basecamp page, but then you can use the top navigation to look up any of that stuff.
Yeah, there is, yeah, for lodging or rides around Idaho, stuff like that. Some of the things like Brian's asking about his gearing and his
Yeah.
tubes and what size tires. I'm not going to answer that here because this is exactly what RPI Basecamp is about. What tires are best for the course? What do you run? What cassette? What this versus that? That's exactly the kind of amazing intellectual property that I will share with you if you're on my team. And if you're not on my team, then, you got to fend for yourself. And, that's exactly the kind of knowledge that we want to share with you as teammates. So bring that question into Basecamp, Brian, or all those questions, and we'll happily answer them.
Excellent.
Are flats common in Idaho? Yes. I will answer that one.
Yes. Yes. All right, here's an event one that's good. I'm training for the baked potato and waitlisted for the Queen's stage race. Curious, based on past events, if how often the wait list opens up and how far out from RPI.
Yeah, I mean the stage race is pretty popular, and I will tell you our permit is limited to 300 people for that, and it's very strict. And so I would love to let more people in, but I just can't. And so it's hard to say if it'll open up. That said, most people, and the reason I launched the stage race is people come to RPI and they're like, this is amazing. I wish I'd stayed more days. They asked me for ride recommendations. So the stage race was actually launched in year, I don't know, 3 or 4, based on everyone wanting to ride more while they're here. Given that, I also have added, if you come to Private Idaho, Sun Valley, I do encourage that you spend a little time here. And we've got social rides happening Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So even if you're not in the stage race, we've got a lot of rides going out. There's a dark sky ride because we're a dark sky preserve. So there's like a stargazing ride that's kind of awesome. So I do really try to make the event. My goal is that I want you to feel like a local. And so there's stuff going on from Thursday through Sunday, whether you're in the stage race or not. So, and we can also use volunteers for the stage race for stage 1. So if you want to ride your bike, ride out and be a course marshal at a remote spot on the stage race, absolutely. That's also a really great way to be part of the stage race and see it. And if you do that for this year, I'll give you a spot for next year into the stage race. So yeah, it is limited. I know a lot of people want to get into the stage race, but it's called Rebecca's Private Idaho for a reason. I want people to feel like they're remote, and I do cap it because I don't want you to feel like you're lined up with 10 million people. And, I want it to be a true Idaho experience. And so, yeah, I could make the event bigger, but then it doesn't really hit with my values. But come early, volunteer, ride around, cheer for people. And we do have other rides going on during the week.
Excellent. I think we've tackled, there's a couple of people looking to contact you personally. I can, we'll let that, maybe we can type an answer in there real quick.
Yeah, I mean, ride recommendations around Ketchum. Sturdivant's is a great shop. I mean, I'd love to everyone who asks me take them on my local rides. But that's part of why I did Private Idaho, is to take you on my local rides. And so, yeah, if you're in Ketchum, there's a ton of resources, maps, all that kind of good stuff that you can find. And there's some really good stuff here. So welcome. And you have no shortage of rides to do while you're here.
All right, I'm going to share screen for a second just as we close, right? So what if you're interested in joining us, right? How do you sign up? When does it start, Rebecca?
July 5th.
See, I did it to you. So you guys just go to rebeccasprivateidaho.com/basecamp. But really, if you just go to rebeccasprivateidaho.com, we're right up here in the header and the head navigation, and you can learn more about the site and the different packages you can sign up for. Um, get a little bit of understanding. Rebecca has a great video in here, a little more information, how it works, plenty of stuff here to kind of walk you through it. We'd love to have you sign up and get involved. We had a little presentation, but there were so many questions or whatever, we never really got to it,
We
which is
didn't
cool,
do it.
right? It's so much better. It's so much better to just talk. But I mean, it really is, it's funny. Rebecca was talking about this picture, and I know I'm not in presentation mode and everything else, but it is really cool. I think one of the things the community does is we do all celebrate together, right? We train together, we celebrate together. It's just a great idea of what we do. And it's like to be able to bring all this great energy and fun into the community, I think really matters. So let's close. And Rebecca, maybe you could tell about, this little.
Oh yeah, presents. This is the presents part of it.
Or we have prizes.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll just thank you guys for signing on and listening to our Q&A. Like I said at the beginning, my why for launching RPI Basecamp is really to bring you in as teammates and give you access to all the cool stuff that I have access to as an athlete, and for you to motivate me as well. And it's, as you know, now it's an interactive program. You can see how Tim and I work. If you join our team, guarantee it's your ticket to your best performance yet. And so with that, you can ask questions on at rebeccasprivateidaho.com. There's an email in there, and you can sign up at rebeccasprivateidaho.com basecamp. Training starts really soon, and the next person to sign up for RPI Basecamp who is on this webinar is going to get basically a welcome to the team package, and that's going to include a kit from Basecamp, Velocio RPI shirt from me, a signed book from me, a bunch of RPI and Basecamp goodies to welcome you to the team. So hopefully you guys are all clicking right now. The first person to sign up who's on this webinar is going to get a personal welcome package from myself and Tim. But even if you don't win that, everybody's a winner. This program really does work. It's unique. There's nothing like it in the world. And I'm really excited to start training with you on July 5th. Tim, do you have anything else?
No, I think that's great. And just write this down. It was 7:06 when this came up on screen. So you know who the next person is.
Okay. Whoever signs up after 7:06. That's awesome. See, that's why Tim is the science. I'm the stoke. I don't keep track of things like time or any of that. But I mean, I hope you guys feel, our energy and our passion for this, because Tim and I do this because we love it and we know that it works and it's really fun for us as well. And so, yeah, I hope you're going to join the team, and we'll start training on July 5th. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy. Good night now.
Be good.
Be good.